The pentacle, Lamen or seal. The difference between a pentacle and seal is that the pentacle is a universal symbol of power and must be charged with the qualities of the relevant power by help of the magic wand or imagination. Its purpose is to induce awe and obedience in a being, so that it fulfills the magician's will. The shape of the universal symbol depends on the religious attitude of the magician. The same universal symbol of power which the magician has embroidered or engraved in his headgear, crown, cap, magus band, may be used. For instance, a hexagram constructed within two circles in the middle of which rests a pentagram. In the center of the pentagram is a cross which has arms of the same length. A cross alone may also serve as a universal symbol. Many magicians make use of the pentacle ceremonies as a symbol of coercion for all beings. The magician surely will not choose a symbol the construction of which he would not find analogous to the universal laws, for with such a symbol he could not make obvious the authority he needs for his purposes. Only by completely understanding the meaning of his symbol and by being able to take the right attitude towards it will the magician get true magical results. A magician should always think of this. He should only use symbols which are clear to him in meaning and which represent the idea of his power. A seal, contrary to the pentacle, is the graphic representation of a being, power or sphere which is expressed by its symbolism. The existing types of seals are, 1. The traditional seals which have either been found by clairvoyants or have been reproduced by spirit beings during astral visits to the various spheres. Beings will only react to this kind of seal if the magician knows how to transfer himself into their sphere of power. Due to a constant increase of the magician's reservoir of power, caused by frequent use of one and the same seal, he will also increase his influence and be able to make it work on the being in question. The copying and reproduction of seals, however, has been the source of many errors, and the seals have often been corrupted. Sometimes this has been done deliberately in order to make the magician's work more difficult and his success with this material less probable or even totally impossible. A magician with an open mind for astral operations may, if he likes, check the genuineness of the seal by use of the Akasha principle, or trance, and by placing his total concentration on the seal. By doing this, he will also be able to correct the seal. 2. There also exist universal seals which not only symbolize the qualities and range of action of beings but also their other characteristics. By applying the laws of analogy one may produce graphic constructions of such seals and charge them with the qualities of the relevant spirits by force of imagination. The being will have to react to such seals without resistance. 3. The magician may also produce seals entirely according to his own ideas, without following any analogous relations. He must, however, have such seals approved by the being concerned. The being's approval of such a seal or sign can be established as follows. The magician wanders with his spirit into the being's own sphere and has the being swear mentally to his seal, its shape, or representation, that it will always react to it. A Lamen is very similar to a universal symbol, but is not a symbol of the microcosm and macrocosm. It represents symbolically the intellectual and psychic authority, the attitude and the maturity of the magician. The Lamen is usually sewn to the magician's garment, somewhere on his chest, or it is specially engraved into a suitable piece of metal, or drawn on a piece of parchment Indiana worn like an amulet. It expresses, by its symbolic presentation, the absolute authority of the magician. The magician will avail himself of a talisman if, during magical operations, he needs protection from unwanted influences, or if he wants to have an outstanding success with his magical operations. The talisman may be the graphic representation of the qualities and faculties with which it has been loaded. The charging of the talisman has to be effected either by the magician himself or by a being evoked by him. If it is done by a being, the power necessary for the charging will have to come from the being's own power or reservoir of power. In this case the traditional signs, that is, signs which have been conferred upon the magician by another magician, or that came direct from a being, may also be engraved on the talisman. The magician, however, may also make use of relating signs which he has had approved by the relevant being. Pentacles, lamens, Seals or talismans to be used for ritual purposes may be made of suitable metals analogous to the being's sphere, to the elements, planets or signs of the zodiac and the seals or signs engraved on them, or they may be engraved on small wax plates which the magician has made by himself from pure beeswax and afterwards charged. Pentacles, seals and talismans may also be made of parchment and the symbols then painted or drawn on them with the corresponding colors in drawing ink. The old grimoires suggest the use of virgin parchment, i.e. the paper made from the skin of a prematurely born calf. The genuine magician will not need such parchment. A piece of common parchment which, by means of his imagination, he has deoded, i.e. freed from all bad influences, will do him the same kind of service. He may also use, for his seal or pentacle, a piece of blotting paper impregnated with a fluid condenser, but, in this case, he cannot draw the symbol with liquid colors, he must use a soft-colored pencil, otherwise the colors will blot when drawing the seals or signs. The charge of the seal, pentacle, talisman or lamen is done by running the finger over the drawing, and by the help of one's imagination, impregnating it with the desired characteristic. It is clear that by doing this the magician must be in genuine contact with the Supreme, with the deity, so that it is actually the deity, and not the magician, who charges the seal etc. via the magician, or the magician's body. Instead of using his finger, the magician may also take his magic wand and by its help charge the seal or talisman. That such a talisman etc. will then have magic power goes without doubt, for by this procedure it becomes consecrated and the magician will be quite convinced of its magic effect. The seals of the various beings will be dealt with in detail in the chapter on the hierarchy of the beings and their qualities and effects.